Fans, come and join the fan club. These are all novelty fans that I picked up over many years. These came in the 1980s, I think I got these ones. They're supposed to be flowers, and they've got little suckers, and they're quite efficient, little breeze, but they're just very pretty looking things. I got them many years ago. Much smaller ones still with these little toy fans which hardly give any breeze at all. You just wind it up and it's supposed to be a flower that turns round. It's quite fun actually on the table because it moves around a bit. It's quite smart. And this one here is supposed to be a pencil, which you could just about write with, but it's supposed to be a fan as well, and I think it needs taking out of that piece of it. That's going to whirl around as a pencil top. As you're writing things, that will cool you down. Those really are pure toys. They hardly give any breeze at all. But these ones actually give quite a nice breeze, which I'm very pleased with. Then a very early fan I got was this one here, which was, well, it's got two purposes. It's a hat and a fan. When it's half opened, it's actually a very effective little fan. But the idea, in fact, is to turn it all the way out like this, and it clicks together and forms a hat, which you then wear on the head. And here's a rather pretty version of the same thing. A fan hat, half open, very effective fan, but fully open, and it makes a rather pretty little fan hat. Cools you down. Another sort of novelty fan was this one here, which came out in the 80s. It's got a little motor inside. When you put it on your head, here's a switch here, and that whirls around quite hard. When you put it on your head, it's actually a quite effective fan because it's got a nice draft down my fevered brow. If it's very hot, I've got lots of sweat on my brow, and it's poof, pushing it away. Very nicely too. It's a very effective fan, that one. But it's a novelty, of course. And the third sort of hat fan I've got, which is pure decoration, and you realise that fans are either cooling you down or they're decoration. This one is pure decoration. It's made by Ward Fleming of New York, and it's a fan hat. The fan won't give you any cools, but it will give you a nice surprise, like a cocker's comb. Wonderful. That's the other use really of a fan. Also in the very early days I came across a fan umbrella. This is meant for walking down the streets, for instance, of Peking or some Asiatic country when it's very hot, when it's open, and when it's, not when it's raining, it won't do any good at all, because there's a fan in the top here, which whirls around at high speed, and it cools you down, cools your fevered brow. As you're walking down the street, I've got a nice draft on my head. Makes quite a noise too, but never mind. Here's a very strange idea. It's a book made by a Dutch artist who I met in Iceland, and it depicts, like a flick book, a fan turning round. It's quite sweet, really. But I thought it was a bit naff and a bit simple and a bit boring until a friend of mine pointed out actually what you're supposed to do is flurry the pages right in front of your brow, like this, and then, oh, that's better, a nice flurry of the pages, and you get a cool breeze. And that's what's been depicted on the pages, a fan turning round. That's clever. Gigantic fan. This is a big one. Wow. Yes, you almost need two hands to make it work like this, and then you can make all the papers fly. But it works. There's no picture on the side, so it's not a picturesque fan, but it's certainly good for cooling down a whole party of people, I think. There's quite a number of greeting cards which are really fans. These ones, this is probably the prettiest of them. Opens up like that, and gives you a happy birthday. Again, it won't do as a fan. You can't flurry it like that. It just won't work at all. It's purely decoration, but very pretty. And then I've also come across some fans which are, this one here is a very nice one, for instance, of the Alps scenery, and you just get the pieces in the right order, and then you've got, well, this one you could use as a fan, I suppose, but it's just the idea it's quite pretty. And this one here, again, it could be used as a fan, but it's really meant to be a quite difficult puzzle. You're supposed to get all the pieces in order and get a little field of poppies this way, or field of cows this way. You know, tulips this way and cows the other way. But you had to get them in a certain order. Then when you finish with it, I suppose you could, sorry, and use it on your face. A much more sensible fan, just for the pocket, is this one here. It's called a bandsaw mechanism. There's a flat steel spring which has been sewn into the rim. When you flick it, it flicks open, and that is actually a very efficient fan indeed. If you're in a theatre or crowded bar and you just want to cool down, it's completely silent. When you want to close it, you just do a double twist like that, and it goes back into its little holder. That's very neat. And the most interesting two fans. I think this one here is again a little hand fan. It's very efficient, and it's got what they call a soft blade, so if you touch it, it doesn't do any harm at all. But that's a very efficient fan. Very new too. I've only found that in New York. It looks like a battery. That's the reason I really like it. Then this is a very, very high-tech fan. It's Japan. It's very pretty, but it's got piezoelectric crystals in the base. When it's being pushed against the crystals, they give us charge of electricity. So if I do an action like that, you get a marvellous effect of the LEDs lighting up like a firework display. And you get the colour ones lighting up first, and every 6th or 7th wave you get a sudden flash of the yellow ones, which look like a little extra starburst. Superb. No batteries needed, purely piezoelectric, and very efficient fan too. But the idea of having a little firework display is something a little bit extra. And possibly the most jokey one I've got, which is based on a Dyson type popper fan. This one isn't, but it's a little model. And the idea is it's a multiplier. The air is being drawn into the back and comes out the front through the annular ring. A weak point of the design of this, of course, is if you're holding it in the hand like that, you're inhibiting the air current going into the base and therefore coming out here. So you need to hold it higher up. And you've got a little LED if you want to light it up as well. But the idea is you get air being pushed out through this ring and it's been drawn in through here. So it acts like one of those wonderful Dyson model fans, but it's just a little model version of it. But nice. So, fans all, join the fan club.